Mark Murphy's had his surgery.
Yep.
What can you tell us? Is there any sort of new news on that?
I can't tell you exactly the extent of it. We're going to have a meeting about that today in regards to the reports and that from the doctor, or sent to our doctor and that. He's in today. He's having a look around and a bit of lunch with the boys, which is great, but he won't be back until after the bye. So, I dare say it's closer to six to 8 weeks than coming back at 4 to 6 weeks. So, but we'll find out the full report. So he won't play much footy, and it'll take him a while before he can run. So that all settles down a bit. So he's got a brace for a sling for roughly 4 weeks, and then he'll start to progress from there. And just depending on, I suppose, the report. It could, and I suppose with shoulders too. Sometimes they respond a little bit quicker as well, and sometimes they don't. And knowing that we've had Robbie Warnock with, we had 2 shoulders at the end of the year, and one responded really well and one took a bit of time. So, they can be a bit slower. So it could take up to, maybe 10 weeks. It could be something like that, but we'll find out more this afternoon. Yeah, he is. He's going really well, Sam. He's in great spirits. He's out there. He's our new cone mover on the training track, so he's embraced that. And I said, whatever you hear through the coaches' mouths about training or something, you've got to keep quiet. He's in the code of silence now, and which is good. But he had his first batch of chemo, and it didn't knock him around as it can. So he's up and he's around the club a fair bit, which is great. And he's in really good spirits, and I think he's got another 5-day course coming up fairly soon. But he's going really well. I don't think it's changed. I think that was something that Sam really spoke about to the group. He didn't want to see people change their behaviours around him or the way they treat him. They want to, he's at a footy club, so if he deserves a little bit of banter towards his way, he wants that to continue. So he was really making sure that everyone just treated him the same, and that's just been business as usual for everyone. And Sam just comes down and being a part of the group, he's come out the track, but just in a different form. Yeah, it has. I think there's a combination of probably Andrew's ability to win the clearances, which it was outstanding in the first 3 weeks. And when you consider he gets 30, reduce the possessions of a player in there that would get close to 30, he did, I think there's probably close to a 30 possession swing around for us as a team. And I suppose the numbers that opposition teams are now putting around those stoppages, where, in the last month, we've had the most stoppages of any team. And that just shows you there's a tactic, to saturate those stoppages with numbers, and teams are doing it and doing it fairly successful. So we're really looking to forward to the contest, and maybe changing up a little bit as well. Yeah, we might throw a few things around with some personnel, but I think someone like Robertson needs to really go for it in there. That's he's a hard player. He can win the contest against multiple players. So I think he's one that could really add a bit of grunt for us in there all the time. We've used him, I suppose, spasmodically, but I think it's a great opportunity for him to get in there and really get going. We gave him a bit of a role last week with Dangerfield. Halfback's sort of been the other position that he's played a fair bit, so that'll be something that's thrashed around at match committee. We've got a few players that are going to be in doubt this week as well, so we might have to see how the puzzle fits, and that's what one of Bryce's greatest strengths is, his versatility, which probably doesn't allow him to settle into a position all the time, but it's about winning 4 points, and that's what we're after. I think most of the players now play, a midfielder these days plays forward, wing and inside the square, so they play 3 positions as well. So I think they're very adaptable. They know the modern game, with rotations and the way you play. Bryce is fairly flexible. He's okay with it. It's hard. I think when I really like him behind the ball. I think his kicking skills behind there and his ability to play taller and smaller is something that the modern game needs. So I think he's probably best suited behind the ball for us, but he's a very good stoppage player when he's up and going and through the midfield as well. I think this week's all about us. It's not about who we're playing. We've put a lot of time and effort. We've done our oppo scouting and gone through all the numbers and the vision and watched the games and all that. But from our point of view, we need to get our own backyard right. Our contested ball and our clearances have been down, and that's something that we need to work on. So whether we're playing Melbourne or Port Adelaide or Geelong or West Coast, they're the games that we have, but it's not about the team that we're playing. It's about us getting that right, and we need to get that right ASAP. Andrew Crazzo hopefully gets back for the West Coast game, which would be fantastic, but we need to get things right for the next week and then the weeks on to make sure that we've got things in place that allow us to have the chance to win games. And we haven't been, in the Adelaide game, we were comprehensively beaten by a very good football team, not just in our ball use, contested ball, outside ball, all the facets of the game. We were smashed, and they were a very good team and really worked us over. Other parts of the St Kilda game, you could put it down to little bits and pieces, but last week was a real wake-up call that we need to get back and really focus on what we have to do and getting those things right. So that's all we'll be doing. We just look at the game itself and break it down, because there's areas of our game that we've just got to fix up, as I've spoken about, and I think how Sydney did it, but also how we can combat Melbourne in there. But it's not just about Melbourne, it'll be about Port Adelaide, Geelong and West Coast, because we've been smashed. We've gone from sort of in the top few weeks, first 3 weeks I think at clearances in sort of the top 6, down to 18th, and that's an issue for us. I think you can break it down to a bit of that. I think you can put down some of the... Sometimes we've had the extra numbers and been beaten, and that becomes a little bit of attitude. Sometimes it's personnel, but I think just the weight of numbers that they've put around there has probably tried to influence our run from there. But in doing that, it's been something that's really come by winning the ball as well, which has hurt us. I think when you're up and going and you've got a lot of confidence, no one questions any of those things, and it's amazing. 4 or 5 weeks in football's a long time, and you play Collingwood and everyone said, work both ways, and they do this, and there was not one question of it. And confidence is a funny thing. I think it's sometimes it's hard to gain and easily lost, and I think we just lost it at the moment, and we probably need to restore that by just getting on the front foot. We've trained fairly hard this week, and no one's been missed, and there's been situations where no one can hide. So I think we'll get a lot of confidence out of that, ready for the battle. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. I think... Yeah, I do. I think the confidence, though, is sometimes you don't run as much when you're not winning the ball as much. Those types of things happen in games, and I just think we've just lost our way a little bit, but we can clean it up fairly quickly, we hope. No, there'll be more than Murphy out. Yep. A flag. Injuries and omissions. Yep. Warnock, he'll be close. We've done a fair bit of extra work behind the scenes. As we sort of said last night on 3AW, was the VFL system, it's very hard. We've got another bye in the VFL system. We play next week at VFL, and then we've got another bye. So that'll be 5 byes in 11 weeks. And I don't know how an AFL system can actually keep and manage your list from a fitness point of view, especially when you've got injuries, when you've got 5 byes in 11 rounds, something like that. So that makes it very hard. It means we probably sometimes have got to take a risk with players or do a fair bit of work with them outside of the normal training program. It would be nice it actually correlated to an AFL team. So we actually played at the same, fairly much the same time, and close enough as you can to the same rounds. How would you go in business if half your squad didn't turn up 1 week, and then 1 week they did, and then they didn't, and then it's hard to manage, and it's hard for them to actually build a bit of continuity in their own performance and with people around them as well. So I think that would be something that we really have a good look at going forward, because to be honest, at club level, it's a nightmare. We've tried to play the 3 big blokes, but they've never been fit and available. So it would be a great thing to trial. It's something that we want to do. We spoke about it through pre-season. If we had the opportunity, could we do it? Would we do it? And that's sort of going to shape a fair bit of match committee conversation. I thought last week he was down a little bit. I thought the ruck combination was down together, and sometimes it's not just about the one individual; it's about how they work together. And there's no doubt that Jacobs and Tippett and those boys won that battle. They were down last week, but Matthew's been in fairly solid form. He's not an enormous possession accumulator. He's not getting the 25s, and that is maybe the Cox, but his work rate and what he does about tackle, pressure, those types of things around the contest are just outstanding. No, he's done a bit of work, so I'm not overly concerned. But yeah, if he missed another 2 or 3 weeks, I think we'd have to start to think about how we're going to get him back to play at the level and play really good football, because we need him. And we've spoken a fair bit about the Jamison Waite scenario, that they've been playing 12 games a year sort of on average. We need them to get to 15, 16, if 20, but Waite won't get to 20 now probably. Yeah, well, I'm just saying from a back complaint and that, sometimes they don't respond, and he's heading in the right path to play, but it might get sore again. Those types of things could be a concern. Yep.
So he's out for this weekend and the following weekend?
No, he's out for this week, but he, hopefully everything going well, he'll be right for the following.